back. It has now officially been 1 month since I started this podcast. 1 month of the garden. That is insane. Literally insane. I can't even wrap my head around it. But God is so good. And I have thoroughly enjoyed just watching him work through this. And you guys' feedback and just letting me know how this has encouraged you and blessed you. And it's all I could have ever asked for. I am so glad you were here. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And I'm just really thankful that you're here. This could be a shorter episode. I'm not really sure. I know that this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, but I don't really have a whole lot of notes. It's just kind of something that I want to encourage people in. And so yeah, let's dig in. I'm your host, Taryn Balzana, and this is The Garden, where you don't have to come alone because we're all growing too. So I was listening to this podcast called Happy and Healthy, and by Janine Amapola Ward. And she has her husband on a lot, Caleb Ward, and he's super awesome and funny. But she has guests on occasionally. And anyways, this past week she had on Nick Bare. And I don't know if any of you guys know who that is. I kind of just recently found out who that was. But he has his own nutrition and supplement company called BPN, Bare Professional Nutrition. Bare, yeah. Anyways, BPN, just look it up. And anyways, so I never really heard his story. I didn't really know who he was, but she did an episode with him, and it was so good. And some of the things that they had talked about and some of the things that he was saying got me thinking about this topic. And I know a lot of people, and I want to speak to the people who are scared to take chances and scared to step out in faith, and they are living for the approval of others, whether those others be their friends, their community, their parents, whoever it is, that those others are more who you're trying to live for and impress than God. And I just want to speak to the people that need to be encouraged in that department, that feel maybe stuck, that want to step out into faith and take new chances, but they're scared of disappointing somebody, or they're scared if they might fail. And so that's who I want to talk to. And I know that there's a lot of people who go 4 years or 6 years or 8 years, or however long through college, and there's a lot of people who stay stuck in jobs that they hate and they're miserable in. And there's also, I'm not sure the statistics, I should have looked that up before I got on here, but that's okay. I also know that there's a lot of people who graduate college in a degree and end up not doing anything that has to do with their degree. I originally went to college for nursing, and I felt super convicted and called to change my major, and I changed it to communications. Lucky for me, communications is something I do every single day, so I don't think I could ever not be working in my field. But a lot of people go and become nurses, and now they're real estate agents. I know somebody who did that, or whatever the case may be. But I want you to know that, like, you're allowed to change your mind, and you're allowed to not love it anymore, and you're allowed to take chances and to take risks, and you're allowed to step out in faith, because as long as you're living for an audience of one, as long as you're living to please God and follow His will, you're not going to be wrong. Obviously, pray about it. But if it's no risk, no harm, like I just said, take risks. But as in, like, no risk of harm, and it's not going to cause you harm or anyone else, go for it. Go for it. Find what you love. And don't settle just to check a box. I know that, like, and some parents out there may not be appreciating that I am saying this, but fortunately I have been very blessed with parents who encouraged me and supported me in every single one of my dreams. And I often went through life. I'm only 22. I still have lots of life left to live. But up to this point, I would come across people who had their thing. Whatever that may be, they had something they were passionate about, they had something they were good at. And I'm so thankful that I found security and confidence in the fact that I don't have one thing. I have many things. I am very passionate about a lot of things, and that's okay. And you know, I'm thankful that I didn't go through nursing school and I didn't end up being a nurse, because I commend those that did, and I think very highly of the field, but that just wasn't my call. That's not where my passion lied. And I am passionate about so many things. And there's so many things in my life that I want to do, and I want to travel, and I want to speak, and I want to write a book, and all these different things. There's lots of different things that I'm passionate about. You're allowed to have different passions. And I know that it may feel like a waste of time or a waste of money if you went through 4 years of school to be whatever, and now you're not doing anything along those lines. But if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And if you're going to work every day, if you're miserable doing something that you have to do every single day, that's no quality of life to live. And that's nothing that's going to benefit you or the people around you. Your misery is going to bleed into your relationships. It's going to bleed into your actions. And you're going to find yourself in a spiral, all because you hate your job or where you live or whatever. Now, there's some times where it's really just a matter of changing your mindset. But there's also sometimes where it's a matter of, you know, if you hate it, change it. It's a matter of changing your circumstances sometimes too. You have to make sure that you are filling your own cup in order to fill other people's. Just like I said, if you're miserable, it's going to bleed into your relationships and everything that you do. If you are not filling your cup, if you are not happy or at peace with what you're doing, you're not going to be able to fill the cup of others. And yes, you are supposed to put others first, but there is definitely a balance to putting others first and neglecting yourself. I mean, honestly, like, what could happen if you say yes to a new job opportunity, to a relocation? Um, and I know that people have families or are married or whatever. I know that there's circumstances to consider and there's factors, and I know all that. But honestly, like, I'm not promoting making any rash decisions that put you in a financial bind or anything like that. I'm trying to help you promote your way of life and your way of living. You're alive, but are you living? The Bible says in Philippians 4:6, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God." God loves you way too much for you to be miserable at this job with coworkers or a boss who have no respect for you, or just do not promote your way of life. That don't fill your cup, that are just not complimenting your walk with the Lord, whatever it is. Pray about it. Always pray about it. Any decision before you make it, pray about it. 1 Chronicles 16:11, seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. If you are seeking him and you are seeking his will and you're seeking his presence, again, you can't really go wrong. I love the saying where it's like, God already factored in my stupidity when he planned out my life. Like, he will redirect your paths. You're not too far gone. You can't really mess up. He's not going to be mad at you if you move across country and that's not really what he wanted you to do. He's not going to be mad at you if you quit your job. He's still there and he's still with you and he's still going to lead you and guide you. And he'll open the doors that he wants you to walk through and he'll close the ones that he doesn't want you to walk through. I've seen that time and time again, where I wanted to walk through doors and God shut them. God said no. And I was like, okay. There's also times where I wanted to walk through doors and I prayed and prayed and prayed. And God said, not right now. There's been times where I've been miserable in a situation and it was because I needed to change my mindset. But there's also been times where I've been miserable in a situation and I needed to change my surroundings. And so you have to use discernment and you have to pray about it. But I would hate for you to live a life that you're miserable in when it is a matter of changing your circumstances or changing your surroundings, all because you're scared or you're fearful of disappointing someone. Honestly, like, I just cannot say it enough. If you are seeking him and you're seeking his will, you can't go wrong. If you are walking in step with the Spirit, you are praying continuously, you can't go wrong. There will be jobs. And no one said when you decided your career path that you had to stay in it for the rest of your life. You may be at a job right now where you're miserable, or you realize that it's not at all what you thought it was going to be, or whatever. I mean, let's face it, when we make those decisions to choose a career that we're going to pursue for literally the rest of our lives, we are 18 years old, majority of the time. That is no place to be choosing what we're going to do for the rest of our lives. Like, let's be real here. We are still kids. And then society and everyone else want us to just choose what we're going to do every day for the rest of our lives. And we're just supposed to do it. And we're supposed to go through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of learning how to do it, and then do it forever. And sometimes that works out for people, and sometimes that doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's okay. And again, I apologize to the parents or whoever that are listening to this and are like, I really hope my child's not listening to this because they have good benefits and they're getting paid and blah, blah, blah. But they're miserable. And I'm not a parent, but I know that deep down, all you want is what's best for your son or daughter. And if this is not filling their cup, and they're miserable way more than they're happy, and it's starting to bleed into their relationships and their lives outside of work or whatever, it's not worth it for them to stay there. We have this, me and my parents kind of have this saying where we want it while it's a blessing. Like, hold on, trying to word it properly. We want to be in places and help people and do things as long as it's a blessing. When it stops being a blessing, it's time to look elsewhere. I say all that to say taking steps and leaps and bounds of faith can be scary. And it's scary when you fear that you may be disappointing someone. When your mom or your dad or your aunt or your uncle or your grandparents or whoever wanted you to do something and you don't have a passion for it and you don't want to do it. They may be a little disappointed in the moment, but I promise you that they'll get over it. And I also promise you that at the end of the day, all they want is for you to be happy and be fulfilled. And first and foremost, that's going to come from God. But we're in this life and we have jobs and we live places, and it comes from that too. But just seek Him first and pray and follow His will and pray for wisdom and discernment. And you won't go wrong. So I know that this is kind of like a shorter episode, but I just felt like some people out there needed to hear that because, again, thankfully, my parents have always encouraged and supported me in everything that I do. But there comes a point in time where you gotta leave the nest and you gotta do what's best for you. Obviously, at the end of the day, still living for that audience of one, but living for the audience of one, not your whole family or all of society. At the end of the day, it's you and God, and you stand and fall before Him, not anyone else. So, that's what I want to encourage you in today and this week. And I hope that did encourage someone, and I hope that this comes across to whoever needed to hear this today. I love you guys, and I want you to live your best lives. If you are following God, then it's impossible not to. But sometimes we still let our flesh take more control than we let God. And I want you to just pray and just seek Him and just let Him take control of your life, because I promise you that He's not gonna leave you nor forsake you, and He's never gonna steer you wrong. Anyways, again, I love you guys so much, and I'm so glad that you're here. Whether you came back or you're here for the first time, I'm so thankful for you guys. And yeah, so I will see you guys next week for another episode of The Garden, where you don't have to come alone because we're all growing too. And I cannot wait to continue growing with you. Bye, guys.